Hey everyone, it is Wednesday, it's Woe Is Me Wednesday, and we are going to talk about some wisdom and some things today. We're going to talk about the C word. I would love to know which word you think I'm talking about. I know that when we talked about this in our team meeting on Monday, I think three of us were thinking one word, and one of us was thinking Christmas. And actually I was talking about culture. So I'm here to talk about culture today. And culture is the soft stuff that you can't measure, that you can't see, that is vital in your business, in your life, it's in your family. It's the thing that exists that basically dictates what the environment feels like. So I want you to consider what the culture in your family is like, or what the culture in your office is like, what the culture in your head is like. Is it one of compassion and kindness? Hi, if you just joined me. Is it one of acceptance and tolerance? Or is there a different sort of culture? Is there a culture of fear? Is there a culture of not enoughness and victim? Is there a culture of competitiveness? Is there what is the culture in your in the places that you're spending your time? Hey, so this is what we're talking about today, and I want you to start to consider what makes a culture. And our culture is based on our values, and it's based on our beliefs, and then how we behave and act on them. So if you think that your values are kindness and compassion, if you think that your values are acceptance, how do you then show that? How do you then create a culture of kindness and compassion and acceptance? Is it by being unaccepting, or is it by being accepting? So it's the behaviour in these situations that makes the difference. And it's kind of easy for us to understand that externally. It's easy for us to think about it in terms of an office environment, maybe, how the language that's used, the tone of the language, whether people get up and go and speak to each other or whether they just email. These things create the culture, whether we consider each other's feelings, whether we spend time listening, whether it's purely transactional relationship or whether there's space for real conversations. This all affects the culture. And the same is true in your head. The same is true in your head. I'm going to say it again because it's really important. And you may think that you're creating a culture of kindness and compassion and acceptance in your family life. But what are the words that you're using in your own head? Because that will determine the energy that you're creating for yourself, and then how you show up in your environment, and how you show up in your environment will affect the culture. So I don't necessarily have any tips for you today, but I'd love for us to think about this a little bit more, because a culture can change. I was thinking that the reason I started thinking about this at all was I was watching someone smoking, and he was standing outside a bar, leaning against a wall in a band t-shirt, and I realised that I didn't think he looked cool, and I used to. 10 years ago I would have thought that he was cool. 20 years ago I would have thought he was super cool. But now I felt very differently about it, and that's because there's been a cultural shift around smoking. That's because it's no longer societally accepted, and it's changed. We've had our attitude towards it changed by the subtle things, by the language, by the way it's spoken about, by where we see it or don't see it, the images that are on packets, the way that the amount that it's been talked about in terms of it affecting our health. All of those things have affected the culture around smoking. And then I started thinking about how I feel about myself, how I feel about my body and my relationship to myself. And I realised that what's happened, what's changed, is that I have created an internal cultural shift. from being never good enough, from the words that were rinsing around in my brain basically saying you need to be skinny, you need to be perfect, you need to look like everybody else, you need to, all of these things, you mustn't have cellulite, you mustn't have stretch marks, you mustn't have all of these things that I was hearing in my brain because I was repeating them, created a culture of not good enough in my brain. So that was how I instantly felt. And over a period of 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, but definitely in the last 5 years, there's been a conscious cultural shift in my brain. So I've taken time each day to say kind things and to observe and acknowledge when I'm not saying kind things and to check in, is that an assumption or is it a fact? Do I want to believe that or do I not want to believe that? What do I value here? What's important to me? And what beliefs do I have that match those values, and do I need to change them? So it's been a subtle process of changing the culture in my environment and sometimes removing people who don't support the culture that I want to create around body positivity, around being okay in my skin, about feeling good and not letting my body or my relationship with my body stopping me from doing the things that I want to do. Hey, Rachel. So yeah, I hope that has just been a little bit thought-provoking for you today, because I know that you're all doing such great work in terms of how you show up in the world, how you show up in your families, how you show up in your workplaces, and how and who you are as people. And there's just another layer there. I want you to just, it's an invitation to think about the culture and the culture that's created in those places by what's created in this place, and how we're thinking and the words that we say, the beliefs that we have, and all the little subtleties that make the culture. So that's it. I have a client in a minute, so I'm going to run, but I will pop back into the group and see if there's any comments, or if you've got any questions, just tag me and I will come and answer them. I'm really happy to have a conversation about this. I think it's kind of fun. And if you're watching this on YouTube on the replay, then come and join the Facebook group and join in with the conversation. All right. Bye. Oh, and have you seen the competition? So I'm running a competition for July because it's my birthday. So if you're in the Misfit to Maven Mastermind group, go and check out the pinned post because it's changed, and you'll find out all about how you can win some free coaching with me. All right. Bye.